Good morning. Welcome back to Dr. Kim Live. Thank you for joining us. I'm the president of Awesome Marriage, founder of it. Been married for 51 years to Nancy. We've counseled couples for over 35 years. Today, I'm excited to have Megan and Britt with us today. Megan has been an important part of Awesome Marriage team for how many years now?
A little over 3 years.
A little over 3 years now, and she does a lot of our resources. We're going to talk about some of those things today. So how are you guys today? And would you want to introduce yourself, let people know a little bit more about you?
Yeah, so I am Megan, and I am a stay-at-home mom, work-from-home mom, obviously, worked for Awesome Marriage a little over 3 years. When I first started, I was doing the date boxes. I was producing them and sending them out, so that was really fun. And now we've transitioned over to social media director, and so I oversee all of that, and it's fun just to be on there to learn and hear from all of our audience and talk to them. So that's been fun too.
Well, that reminds me. So when we were doing date boxes, like your garage was our warehouse, right?
Yes.
You could fill all these date boxes there and then get them sent out. And that was a fun time. We just switched over kind of to date designs now. And so we can get those people so you don't have to have your garage full of stuff that we sent out with it. Britt, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, obviously I'm the husband. We've got 2 kids. I've been working remotely from home for the last 5 or 6 years or so. I'm in the software space, so it's been nice. Last year we were able to build an office in the backyard to escape the chaos of everybody being confined into one space. And yeah, it's been good. I think during the time you were doing the date boxes, I was the warehouse manager in our garage, breaking down all the boxes from UPS.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So really, you've been working from home, so that wasn't a big change for you as we went into all the pandemic stuff.
Yeah, it was just the new norm for me. Nothing.
Yeah, that's good. So Megan, you have been at Awesome Marriage for 3 years. What's your favorite thing about just working for Awesome Marriage?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just learning too. Like as I go, learning some wisdom from you, Dr. Kim, and then other guests that we have on the podcast or other people who write blogs for Awesome Marriage. Learning from their wisdom is great too, just to bring that wisdom into our marriage. But then, like I said earlier, since I am over social media, I love talking to our audience and getting to know them and getting to know their stories so that we can help them. And so they know, like, there's a real person on the other side that they're telling their story to, and we're praying for them. We want the best for them, and we want their marriage to be awesome, you know?
Yeah, that's so good. And I love that part of what we do at Awesome Marriage too, that we're able to, and I think that gives you ideas for resources and things as you interact with people to see what the needs are at that time, because we have our basic things that everybody needs, but then I think that changes from time to time, and new situations, new culture that we go into different phases, all that makes a difference like that. You guys have been married how
long?
Next
it's going
week.
to be 9 years next week.
Yes.
You know, every time I ask that, the guy looks at the wife. I don't know why we do that. It's like we think we know, but we don't want to say the wrong thing, probably. So 9 years, that's awesome. Congratulations. That's really good. So do you guys have any hobbies, anything you enjoy doing together as a couple?
To answer your first question, I have too many hobbies according to my wife.
But hobbies together, we love watching Shark Tank and The Office.
Yep.
We will binge watch those every time there's new episodes. If we have a bunch of them, we'll just watch them back to back. So, and then The Office, obviously it's old, but we've probably seen every season of the show like 9 times.
Yeah, too many.
Yeah, too many. And then we also love just going to the beach. He surfs, and so it's been fun for him to kind of teach me how to surf. That's been really fun. I'm not very good, but it's still fun to try.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And I think like in Wilmington too, if you're familiar with the area, where it's becoming a big foodie town. So there's always these local restaurants that pop up and produce high quality food. And so I don't know if it's a hobby, but we definitely enjoy trying new upcoming local restaurants. And
yeah, I think it's great. I love doing that. If something new comes up and just kind of see what they're doing, that's really cool. That's amazing. I didn't know you were learning how to surf, Megan. That's cool.
Yeah. It's been years of teaching, I guess, or learning. I'm not very good at all, but he likes to tell the story when I was pregnant with our first child. I was 4 months pregnant and he pushed me into a wave and I stood up and I was riding the wave. So it was really fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you had a surfing baby.
Surfing baby. And she does it. She does actually great. I was like, it's because you started in my tummy.
Exactly. No fear. That's good. So what does an average week look like for the two of you? Britt, home, you doing awesome marriage stuff? What's it look like?
I think for us, we both get up early in the mornings. Typically I'm up 4:45 a lot of times if I'm gonna go work out and do that sort of thing. Megan's not too far behind me. I think the early mornings we've learned it's an opportunity to get stuff done before the chaos ensues from the kids.
Yeah.
So then, early morning, that routine, and then jump straight into work for me. Come out here to the office, and Meg switches gears and jumps into motherhood.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, we try to flip flop. When I get off work, I'm either playing with the kids while she's cooking dinner, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess to kind of wrap up the day, we put the kids to bed, and then she jumps back on doing some work, and usually read books or hang out.
Yep. Yeah, I think for us, so I try to work about 2 nights a week, and then the other nights I try to dedicate time for us. So we'll either sit down after the kids go to bed and kind of talk, catch up for the day, connect that way and know what's going on. Even though he works from home and I see him all day, kind of, it's still, I don't know what's going on in his work life or what happened to him exactly. So it's nice to kind of catch up and connect in that way. And then either we'll watch a show or we love playing games. Settlers of Catan we used to play all the time. And then this card game called Rummy, we would play that all the time, and I would always get the aces and I would win. But that's been really fun to do.
And no cheating, right?
No cheating. They just the aces always got in my hand. I don't know how.
That's good. Now that's good. And I think, with kids and what both of you working, the fact that you carve out that time each day to touch base, to see what's going on with each other. Because I think that's true. I think some people, when you're around each other all day, I know when a part of COVID and I was home a lot more than I usually would be, you have to be intentional because you kind of think, well, we've been around each other all day, so why do we need to talk? Well, we do, because you're right. We don't know what went on when you're at work and Britt's at work and those kind of things. So that's a great example. So tell us about your kids. They're probably the two of the favorite ages of mine of kids. I love those ages.
Yeah, I can say.
Yeah, so Sailor, our eldest, she's 7, and just like Megan mentioned earlier, she's our water girl. Anything with the pool, the beach, surfing. She's been blessed to have a kid that's grown up at the coast, and her brother Carver is just following in her footsteps, trying to keep up with her. They've I don't know. They're great kids. They definitely have learned to bond and kind of do life together. We started them in separate rooms, and over the last couple of years, we've combined them into a single room with bunk beds, and they wake up together, they go to sleep together. They really have developed this tight knit group. So
that's great.
Yeah, Sailor's, like you said, the water bug. Carver loves the water too. Carver's our goofy one, and he's 4, so he just turned 4 in April, and so he just loves to joke and have fun, and so it's really fun to see their personalities come out and just who they are and who God has created them and what they love to do, and because I know a lot of parents will put kids in sports because that's what sport they like, but it's fun to see what sports they actually like or what they want to do. And kind of go from there with that. So that's been fun to watch too.
I think that's a great idea because I think sometimes we have in our mind, okay, I played baseball, so my kid's going to play baseball. And so, if they feel dad or mom are pushing them one way, they're going to kind of go that way. But I think it's fun to let them we tried to let our kids experience as many different things they wanted, and then they could choose what they felt like they were most comfortable with, enjoyed the most. So that's really good.
Yeah, I've had to hold my tongue too, because I coached high school athletics for several years. And so I'm from, as soon as they came out of the womb, it was like, you're going to be a basketball player.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a player,
Well, you live in basketball country, certainly in North Carolina. So, putting a basketball in his hand at birth, probably normal.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that. So let's talk for a minute about Bible verses. Anyone that's speaking to you this week that you feel you'd like to share?
I think I'm known for me, like, and I'm going to get the wording probably wrong, but I think it's in Psalms. It talks about waiting on the Lord, being strong and letting your heart have courage, and just simply waiting on the Lord. I think, especially in today's climate, there's so many unanswered questions and so many, like the expectations of the now mentality. I want something now. I want my results in front of me tangibly, so that I can see it. Just this week, it's just been a lot of, hey, just wait. Just it's my time. It's not your time.
That's so good and so hard to do sometimes, man. Megan?
Yeah, I think for me, it's 2 Timothy 1:7, and it's the verse that says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind." And that part, sound mind, has really just spoke out to me ever since last year with COVID. It's literally speaking about having peace and trust in Jesus and stop bringing the anxiety or overthinking everything, have a sound mind. And so in everything that we've gone through over the last year and a half as the world, everything we see focuses on all these problems. Like, this is what's happening. These people are getting sick. And so continuing to just filter out all the anxiety and put God's word and his truth into my mind to bring about a sound mind has really spoken to me.
That's really good because, I think it's so easy to lose sight of that. And then it gets pretty scary when we do. And yet when we focus on him, he just gives us a peace that we don't find anywhere else. It's awesome. Mm-hmm. So you do a lot with the resources. And so as a married couple, what awesome marriage resource are you looking forward to? Or is there one that we've had that was your favorite that you guys both enjoyed as a husband and wife?
Did you have a favorite? Yeah. So I love the date designs, not because I wrote them, but just because as a parent, having dates is sometimes hard, especially if you don't have family around or you don't have a babysitter, or maybe financial needs aren't there to be able to pay for a babysitter. And then it's also just hard finding someone that you trust to watch your kids. And so the date designs give you an opportunity to have a date, be intentional with that time, and connect with your spouse even at home. And so it's a planned out date. All you have to do is kind of maybe read through it real quick to see if you need any thing for the date, and then you go from there. And so I think those are great to have. And then I think the communication challenge that's out this month is a huge one, because even as you've been married for a long time, you still need to learn how to communicate effectively, how to resolve conflict, healthy, and all the things. So I think that one's going to be really great.
I do too, because that's probably the number one thing every couple says in counseling. Even that may not be the presenting problem, but communication is an issue. And I think most of us just kind of get lax, and it's something. So I think this resource is great. I think it's going to really help people. Britt, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, those are both. I've enjoyed both of those. Like, the first thing that popped into my head, it's not even necessarily a resource, but over the last couple of years, Awesome Marriages, they've presented their employees with like hooded sweatshirts and t-shirts, that sort of thing. This last Christmas, the hoodie that you guys sent out, for one, it's unbelievably soft. And I've been in sales my whole life, and so I've seen good quality stuff.
Yeah.
Side note, that's a really comfortable hooded sweatshirt, but the having Awesome Marriage on the front of it, just as you're kind of it's a conversation starter. So walking into Costco or walking to wherever, people look at that and they're like, Awesome Marriage. Oh, that's, what is that? And it's just a great opportunity to explain first of all what you do usually, but then just the general concept and stuff. So
that's cool. We've I think in September we're doing a pop-up shop for a couple of weeks, and so some of the swag that we've had or will have is available. And I agree, Britt, the sweatshirts was amazing. And I think when we designed those, when they were designed, everybody thought, oh, the guys aren't going to wear them. It's one of my favorite things. We're just like you said, it's soft, it's good color, looks good. It is a conversation starter for sure. Absolutely. Megan, which is your favorite design that you've written?
So the You Make Me Melt date design was probably my favorite to write. And I would say because the world makes Valentine's Day such a Hallmark holiday. Some people absolutely love it. Some people hate it. And so I think I really just enjoyed writing that to help you show your spouse that you appreciate them and to enjoy a date on Valentine's, because some couples might not want to go out. And especially last year with COVID, everything was about to be shut down or like starting to shut down. So it was just such a great opportunity to be able to do something at home and still make it special and memorable too.
I think your passion for dates at home really comes through in the date designs. And I think it really helps people think out of the box. I think of, okay, we really can have a date at home, and it really can be good, and it can be unique and special and something we remember. So those are some of my favorite resources too. Really good. So this week on Lost Marriage Podcast, Toni Newhoff is with me. Her book is Hope for the Unhappy Marriage. Toni and I discussed when she and her husband, who's also a good friend, were really struggling marriage, to discuss divorce at one time. So how do you deal with those challenging times together? Do you feel like you've gotten better with those challenging times over the years, or kind of where are you with all that?
Yeah, I think for me, like I grew up with families of divorce or broken marriages and stuff like that. So, and then his family, his parents have been married for 35 years. And so it's cool to see like the different dynamics and see what's healthy and what we can strive for. And so just taking the word divorce off the table is like, it's not an option. So like, you're stuck with me, we have to work through it. I think is huge, but to go through hard times, I think there's going to be days where I'm dealing with stuff in my mind, in my heart, and he can help lift me up. He can bring truth, God's word. He can encourage me. And then same, there might be a time where he feels more down or more anxious or more stressed out, overwhelmed. And hopefully in that time, I can help him. And then when we go through things together, like the hardest thing I think for our marriage has been when both of our kids, our daughter at 5 months old was hospitalized. And then our son just recently last year was hospitalized too. And in both of those times, there wasn't quite answers right at that moment. And so there was a lot of unknown. And so continuing to provide encouragement and truth and just lift each other up during that time, I think really helped us and realize like we're in it together. We're dealing with the same thing together. And so stop making each other the enemy in that moment and start realizing like we're a team.
Yeah.
We're in it together.
Yeah. I mean, I'd just add like it's a perspective shift, and just like if I feel something and I feel like I'm right, doesn't mean that I'm necessarily right. And I need to shift my perspective and look at it from a different lens with regard to like conflict, etc. So I think it's important just to always switch roles, put yourself in their shoes. And, if you are constantly leaving your underwear on the floor and you don't think it's a big deal, but to her, it's a massive deal. And, trying to flip roles and realize, okay, why would this be such a big deal to her?
Yeah. No, I think I love what you're saying there, because put yourself in see it from their perspective. And I think sometimes if it's important to Nancy, I just do it because I may not understand it, or it may not be important to me, but it makes a huge difference for her when I just say, okay, if that's important to you, I'll do it. So I love you guys saying that. I love what you said about being a team. And the first thing you said, Megan, about taking divorce off the table. There's not a better step. I think that it's one of the most important steps we make in marriage. And when we make that decision, because then, like you said, we're stuck with each other. And that's not bad. I mean, that means you're going to work through things for sure. So next week on Lost Marriage Blog, we've got 10 qualities of a successful marriage, Megan, that you wrote. And I'm excited about it. Can you tell a little bit about it? And is it something that you apply in your marriage?
Yeah, so I think there's so many more qualities that you can add to the list. I just got 10 that I think stick out the most and that can make a difference in your marriage. And so things like moving towards each other, being intentional with your time with one another, and then moving towards Jesus together. So, I'm sure everyone has heard of the triangle effect. So as the husband and the wife move towards Jesus, they become closer to each other. And so I think that's just really important to do. And then being aware of the enemy. Like, he hates marriage. He wants your marriage to not succeed. And so he's going to put lies into your mind. He's going to make you think your spouse is the enemy, that they're purposely doing something to irritate you, or just like all these things in your thoughts. And so really being aware of that and fighting back and realizing like what's in your mind about your marriage is what you're going to act on outside your marriage. And so if you think negative thoughts, like that's all you're going to think and feel about your marriage. And then eventually you're going to disconnect and move away from each other. Yeah,
that's exactly. Anything you'd add, Britt?
I would just say, I mean, it's as anything, it's work, and it's not supposed to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to grind it out and realize conflict's normal, it's needed, and find a way through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good.
Yeah, I think we go into it with trying to bring healing and understanding. It grows our marriage, and I think sometimes we avoid conflict because of the negative connotations, but it doesn't have to be negative. It can be something you work through, and your marriage is better on their side. Let's switch to a couple things on parenting for a minute. You've got 2 kids. A couple things I want to do. Anything you struggle with parenting? And then has COVID made it more challenging?
We're perfect parents. We don't struggle with anything parenting.
No, okay. So we'll move on.
No, I think all parents struggle. It's you don't know what to do. And as many as books that there are out there, they're great, but it doesn't tell you all children are different. So you have to know your child, you have to work together, and you have to realize like, okay, this didn't work for them. Let's try something else. And you have to be flexible. I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's really hard for me. He's, I think, a little bit more flexible than I am. And so he's more willing to do things and try new things. And I'm more like, no, this is how we need to do it. But, sitting down and talking together and just being like, hey, this isn't working. What do you suggest? Or what did your family do in this scenario? Because like I said, his parents are still married, and they raised 4 great kids who all love the Lord and who walk and follow him. And so it's like they obviously had to do something right. And so what did they do? What would they do in this scenario too?
That's good. That's good. Who does the disciplining?
I think we both do evenly.
Yeah, I would say that.
I feel like, though, because I'm with them more, it's probably more, they see it more than from me. But like when he is around, he comes right in and adds to the discipline factor too.
So with both of you at home, how do you kind of divide up the things that have to be done around the house, whether it's cooking or chores or that kind of stuff?
Well, recently, like we mentioned, she works early in the mornings, and so we have found that it's helpful for me to jump straight into that parenting role and get the kids dressed, get the kids fed, and then I can go to work rather than just scooting out the door and leaving her to do all that stuff immediately.
Yeah.
So that's I think a practical example.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think they're a little bit older, so they're more independent too. Yeah. So obviously when you have newborns, like they're dependent on the mom, the dad all the time. And so we have 7 and 4, so they can independently play as he's getting breakfast ready, or as he helps unload the dishwasher in the morning. And so like that's been his job. I feel like he has the dishes And so that's been super helpful. And then he does, the outside of the house stuff. And he helps, here and there with like laundry and anything else. But I feel like assigning tasks sometimes can seem like, oh, that's a little too much. But I think it's helpful because it's a visual. And so if you're a visual like I am, it's like, okay, I'm doing this task and this task, and then he's going to take care of this task and this task. And so I think instead of having one person feel like everything's on them, it helps divide out the tasks.
No, I think that's good. It's balanced, and it works for you guys.
Yeah.
That's really good. So last question, what's your ideal date night look like?
I think ideally, just going to find, like we talked about, some really good food. And then I know before kids, we did this a lot. We would go walk on the beach, or we'd go bike or paddleboard or things like that. And then I love a good glass of wine, just having a kind of a chill environment, whether that's watching the video or just talking, low light, just kind of chill, relax the evening.
Yeah. Sounds nice. Megan?
Yeah, I think that's the same. We love going to dinner and eating, and then that gives us an opportunity to talk and connect. And then if we have time, it would be fun to like go do an activity. So he's such a outdoorsy activity guy. So like he said, paddleboarding, or since it's later, you could go down to the beach and go do surfing for a little bit, or play basketball, which I'm not good at, or soccer, or whatever else. He loves golf too. And he's wanting to take me to go to the driving range and just like hit golf balls. So doing something like that, I think would be great as a date.
That's cool. Well, you're trying something different too. For you. Yeah. Sure. That's really good. So do you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask me since we're on this together?
She's laughing because I think she knows what I'm going to ask. So this has been like I don't know if it's been a pain point, but it's just been something we've talked about throughout the years regarding like specific gender roles within a Christian marriage. Are there particular things that have been assigned like task-wise for each self, biblically speaking? So like the stigma is like, hey, the wife takes care of all the house stuff, the dad mows the yard,
Yeah, I think that's kind of culturally what we've kind of fallen into. The way I teach it and the way I really feel is God just gave a specific role to the husbands to lead, and to the wife to be the nurturer and the lover in the family. And I think when a guy is leading well, I think it's easy for his spouse and his family to follow that leadership, to be respectful, because he is, if we have a big decision to make and I pray about it, and Nancy knows I prayed about it, and then I make the decision or we make it together. I mean, I think there's a lot of trust there, but I think it's my role to kind of initiate those things. And then certainly we all know that our wives are usually much better nurturers and have that ability. Other than that, I don't think God cares who cleans the toilets or mows the lawn, or, I've got one couple and she loves the outside stuff. And he said, I just feel bad when our neighbors see her out there mowing, and I'm inside. They don't see me vacuuming inside, So, I don't think it matters. I think the thing is you want to do it if it's something you enjoy doing, or if it's a task that, neither one of you want to do, that maybe you flip a coin each week and one does it one week and one the other. But I think in that way, I think God gives us so much leeway and who does what. And I think sometimes it's hard for some people when they've kind of grown up with this, husband's outside, wife's inside, to get past some of those things. But I think it's something each couple needs to work out. And whether they work out, as long as it works for them, I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think couples who both work full time, I think that this is a hard thing to like figure out together. It's like we both work outside the house full time. So when I get home, I don't want to have to be the only one that cleans and does this and does that while you just sit down. And so I think coming together to make a plan, I think is what's going to be helpful too.
I think it's a great point, because I think some couples try to apply the cultural standard of wife does most of the housework and they both work, and I think it's got to be divided. And I've got some couples that just let things go kind of till the weekend, and then Saturday morning they clean together, or they divide up the chores. I mean, just something that works for you guys. And I think to not make it a conflict area, but okay, this is something in front of us. This is a problem. We got to do these things unless we want to live in a really dirty place. Nobody really wants to do that. So how do we get it done? And come up with a plan that works for you. Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's really good. Good. So that kind of wraps up today. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Megan, we appreciate you so much. You're such an asset to Awesome Marriage and just a really fun person to be around. Britt and I got to meet a couple of years ago. We were in North Carolina and enjoy that. And thanks for joining us today. Next week, we'll be back every Tuesday morning around 10 or 10:30. If you have a question, drop it in the comment section or send a direct message. And thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you.